All right, everyone. Today we're going to be reacting to student loans. So I know it's kind of a sensitive topic. As a millennial, I also felt like it was very pushed to go to college. So I understand why it's such a crisis right now. I remember year one to my last year in college, the tuition and room and board and everything just kept on increasing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't imagine what it'll be like in 10 years. And so it's been about 10 years. So I'm pretty interested to see what people are saying on TikTok. I know it's just a travesty. So let's just hear it.
I have $140,000 in student debt and I'm not stressed about it. So let's talk about it. And I'll show you my favorite everyday makeup look. The first thing is from Merit. I'm absolutely obsessed with this. I have 2 sets of student loans. So I have the federal loans that most people have, and then I also have private loans. So lucky me.
Okay, so a lot going on here. Yeah, private loans already. Higher interest rate, and let's just see what she has to say. I'm already feeling queasy about this one.
This is the Milk Contour Stick. I really like this because I'm trying to do clean beauty. When I said I wasn't stressed, that was kind of a lie. I just think it's so crazy how we are signing kids up who are 18 years old with $140,000 of student debt before they really realize like how much money that is and how much it's going to take to pay that off. I went to a private school in Connecticut and I did that because I was in a 3+1 program, so I basically got 2 degrees for the price of 1 degree. I still got to finish at the same time as all of my friends who were just getting their bachelor's. At the time, I thought going to the private school because of the program was a really good option for me financially, but I definitely didn't realize how much $140,000 really is, or else I probably wouldn't have done it. But I've been paying off my loans since I was a freshman in college. So I kind of want to tell you what my plan is, how I'm doing it, and how I'm trying to get rid of these as quickly as possible. I am 24 and...
Okay, so right off the bat, I do want to show a lot of sympathy for people like this because they were 18 years old when they made these decisions. And 18 years old, you're not even allowed to have a legal drink in this country, yet you can take out $140,000 in student loan debt and pursue something that should be something that you earn money towards. So it's a huge decision to make at such an early age in your life where you don't know a lot of things, and the expectation to pay it back is not realized until you have to make payments. So I know with some private loan options, you do have to start making monthly payments, so you don't get that deferred benefit as some of like the federal loans. So so it seems like she was on top of it, possibly never missed a payment. But yeah, I do want to say that I have sympathy and compassion for her situation, just because she was so young. And let's just keep watching. Her makeup is on point. Her makeup, I'll just say that. I have no knowledge of what's good or bad, but it looks good on her.
I didn't move out of my childhood home until I was 24. I stayed home for 2 years after school.
Smart.
And basically was able to put all the money I was making towards my student debt, and honestly, I didn't save, which I definitely don't recommend. Definitely put some savings aside. I kind of learned that the hard way. When I moved out, I kind of realized just how hard it is to pay rent and get your own groceries and basically be an adult and have this looming student debt over your head. It's really hard, honestly, to look at my friends who are getting married and buying houses and just knowing that I'm extremely responsible and I'm not going to be able to do that. I can't do that, and it's not going to happen for quite a while. Essentially, what I do every single month is I put one paycheck towards my student debt, and then I do one paycheck towards my rent, utilities, groceries, and I kind of try to save just whatever little is left that I can. I know it's really hard for some people to put a full paycheck towards their student debt, but I would really recommend it if you can. I honestly just have it taken out right away, and it's like it never even hit my bank account. So I'm definitely pressed for money, unlike my other friends.
So she seems very smart. So she's doing the wise things of paying down this debt. She understands how it is impacting her life, how she can't do things that normal people are doing because of this debt. And I think that's the great tragedy of this student loan crisis. It's you went into this at an early age, and now it's impacting your future years to try to pay it off. I think she's very smart. I mean, obviously she's living paycheck to paycheck because she wants to pay down the student loan debt. But she understands that she doesn't want this interest to accrue over time, in which in many cases it can exceed, if you're not making payments, the student loan that you had at one point will exceed, it could be double. So I think she's very, very smart in the way she's taking full accountability that she borrowed this money and she has to pay it back. And she doesn't want to be limited by this thing anymore. I'm kind of curious to see what she did study. I don't think she's mentioned it yet, but yeah, I guess, it's important that if you're going to get a degree, that you're making money on what you studied, because that's the whole point, all right,
But I'm really learning how to be responsible with money, which I wish I learned when I was 18. For anyone who is starting their payments now for the federal loans, I really recommend putting more than what's due towards it, so you can pay down the principal, because that's the thing that's going to get you, because you're just going to be paying interest over time when you could have brought that down a lot earlier. Don't get me wrong, it's really, really hard to have to say no to things, and I definitely feel a lot of anxiety over it that not a lot of my friends, well, actually none of my friends understand. This Merit blush is quite literally my favorite blush ever. I have the Rare Beauty one, and this is incredible. It's also very hard knowing that I'm responsible with my money. I'm paying so much more than I need to be paying towards my student debt every single month. And just knowing that I'm not going to be able to buy a house for a while is something that's been causing me a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety. I also just think that it is the most wild thing that schools cost as much as they do these days. Even state schools are extremely expensive.
Yeah, everything's expensive. I don't think being able not to buy a house is just limited to people with student loan debt. I think it's a huge issue across the board. The prices of homes are just astronomically high. Wages have stagnated over time. So it is a lot harder for people in her age, my age, just to be able to buy homes. And then you add this massive student loan debt. So it's just, it is an economic tragedy what's going on right now. We're being put in a position where we're going to be in debt for pretty much our whole life, and possibly well into retirement, still paying off a house or paying off your student loan debt. With the high cost of everything now due to inflation, and these prices aren't going to go down anytime soon. We are being squeezed like no other generation, in my opinion. I really feel like this is going to affect everything. It's going to affect mental health. It's going to affect population rates. It's going to affect the economy at large. Everything is going to be impacted by how little we're making for how educated we are and our inability to buy stuff. And every future generation is going to have it worse. Like we're borrowing insane amounts of money. Our spending deficit is getting larger and larger. We are not in a good spot here in the United States. Everyone is getting squeezed. And this person, I'm reacting to a really smart, reasonable person that is actually making the effort, and understands all of this. She understands that she has to make the extra principal payment so that the student loan that could go away, because if you just make minimum payments, this thing is going to last for years. It could last 30 years or more, because they want to earn interest on what they gave you, which in my opinion is kind of predatory. You're an 18-year-old made a decision in which you're financially benefiting from for 30 plus years. This is just, it's kind of wild to think about. They can't even go to a bar and drink a drink, yet they're going to give you hundreds of thousands of dollars based on a decision that they made. It's nuts. So I do feel her pain. I don't think, buying a house is going to be painful for everyone, not just her, but I completely sympathize with her.
I truly don't understand how taking 5 to 7 classes a semester is going to cost $69,000 a year. I have no idea how to do this on camera. For some context, I got my parents to co-sign on my private loan, which was the most amount of money, but I refinanced and they are completely off of it. So just know there are people doing it alone without the help of their parents, because I know it can feel really, really lonely sometimes. This is my favorite product in my entire makeup.
Yeah, there's people who don't have the financial backing of parents to co-sign. She's absolutely spot on. It's just crazy. I think what you can do to kind of help this situation is don't go to private schools. They don't provide anything that a public in-state university can provide. Community colleges should be, people should go to community college if they can. A lot of states, they give the first 2 years for free. So there are options if you do want to pursue university. There's also other options as well where you can make a nice living with the trades. So I think if there is a silver lining to all of this, I hope that people are understanding that there's other avenues to take, so you're not like our generation where you're being kind of forced into it and sort of brainwashed into saying this is the only way. There are more ways, but it is a very isolating. Being in any type of financial distress is just mental anguish. So let's see what else.
Bag, I just think it's so cute. I have to buy or lease a new car soon, and it's just really hard because I really wanted to buy out my car, but I don't really want to add another $20,000-$30,000 of debt on top of this looming student debt that's just right here all the time. This is the everyday makeup look. I need to do something with this greasy hair, but this is kind of what happens every day. I feel like this entire video is just to say you don't need to feel alone in the fact that you have a ton of student debt and maybe your friends, they have parents that can pay for it or they have other ways to pay for it. You are not the only one who has a ton of student debt and you will get through it. Trust me, my biggest advice to you and my biggest advice to myself is just put as much as you can towards your student debt every single month, but make sure you have some savings, because that's something that I'm definitely working on, is building my savings, but just making sure that I'm absolutely obliterating my student debt as fast as possible. I have 100.
Yeah, she's super smart. I mean, she knows what she's doing. I know she's in this position and she's trying to shovel her way out, but she's doing all the right things, even though it is causing her all this anxiety and all. I just do feel like she said all the right things. Try to save, but try to pay down your student loan debt. And like I said earlier, this is gonna affect your ability to buy other things. So. I feel for her. One thing I know is, like, suffering is not special. Everyone suffers in some way or capacity, and a lot of people are suffering because of this too, and having this same situation. So, I really hope that she could be able to pay off her student loan debt and live a stress-free life.
If you're thinking about paying all of your student loans off, maybe just hold on for 2 seconds. This year, I paid off all of my student loans. Yay, right? You would think. But no, even when you think you're doing everything right, somehow in this financial system, it bites you in the butt. Okay, let me just explain to you what happened. When you take out student loans, you start developing credit. At some point, someone is going to ask you what your credit score is, whether you're trying to take out a loan to buy a house, or whether you're trying to get approved for an apartment, take out a loan on a car, etc. So anyways, fast forward, I'm $30,000 in debt. I decided, you know what? I'm going to work my butt off to pay off all of those loans. And this year, I paid them all off. Now, logically in your brain, you'd be like, she paid off all of her debt. Her credit score is going to skyrocket, right? No, it tanked. Now, why? This is why I get so frustrated. Part of your credit score establishes credit history. So my student loans were my oldest account. But I just closed that account. So now I don't have 8 years of credit history. Maybe I have 7. And what they say online is they want to say oh, we just want to see that you're a responsible borrower and that you can return money on time. And so we don't want you to make a big payment all at once. So that shows that we can't expect how you're going to return our money, right? The reason why they don't want you to pay that back all at once is because they earn interest while you're in debt. So you'd think, congratulations, you just paid off all your student loans. Your credit score should go up. They're like, no, we're losing out on money because you're no longer in debt. So anyways, if I could go back and do it all differently, maybe I would go and pay almost all of it except for $1. Just let that sit there. Disclaimer, that's not actually the solution. At some point, you're going to have to close that account. But, man, the system sucks.
System does suck, but I wouldn't put too much stress on what your credit score is unless you're going to buy a house. But, pay off the loans. Get that stress out of your life. Why are you worried about what your credit score is? I think... If you're going to plan on making a major purchase, credit score is important if you want to use money to buy that thing. But it's just, man, I think a good feasible action is getting a free credit card that you just pay the statements in full. So that way you are building credit that way. It's just, I can't imagine someone losing out on the potential to buy a house because they paid off their student loans early. This one is just, there's other factors at play here. That you could look at your how much money you're making. You could put a bigger down payment on whatever it is that you want to buy. So they look at that favorably. So there's other things other than just credit score, but I do agree the frustration is hey, I wanted to make a major purchase and I cleaned all this debt off my books so that, I could buy this thing and you're kind of being penalized for being responsible. So that it's not fair. But I wouldn't put too much stress in that because you're making a financially sound decision by paying off your student loans. You will not be incurring interest. Is that interest that you're incurring worth a higher credit score? Probably not. I mean, I just pay it off if you can. Get that monkey off your back. And psychologically, you just don't want this thing looming over you. It's just having student loans is one of the most hampering things you could have. This debt is not forgivable. You're gonna pay it. They will garnish your wages if you don't pay it back. It's just get it off your plate. You'll be better off getting rid of student loans than paying it off early and seeing your credit score dip a little bit. My opinion. All right, that's been my reaction. I think I went a little over. Just this is a big issue. Student loans is just and it's going to be a bigger issue going into the future as the tuition just seems like there's never going to be a cap. They're going to charge what people are willing to pay for it, and lots of people are going to keep going no matter what. It's kind of like this intangible good, or we just need it. There will always be a demand for education. So as long as they get away with it, they're going to continue doing it. So glad to see these videos in different perspectives. If you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe and leave a comment, and see you next time.